up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. As always, I'm Robbie, along with Kyle. Kyle, how are you tonight, buddy?
Doing pretty good, dude. How about you?
Doing well. All things considered, I got a little Bruins hockey on my TV over here. So if you folks are seeing me looking off into the distance, that's why they're winning 1-0 in the first period, which is good. So in their second playoff game, so I'll take it. But so for tonight, if you obviously watched last episode, you know that we're sort of continuing a little theme of shows here that we've been doing, and it is sort of revolving around Kyle's high school track career, which was a very exciting 4 years of track and field. And so today we're going to discuss our sophomore year, the spring of 2010. Was a very exciting year, I'm sure, as we're going to get into. So, Kyle, I first wanted to ask you, again, sophomore year, kind of we talked about this with football a little bit, sort of that in that case it was sophomore into junior year. But, freshman and sophomore year, you have a year of experience on the team under your belt, obviously. So, you sort of, know the ropes and know the expectations at this point. So what were sort of heading into that sophomore season, what were sort of your expectations and thoughts having, like I said, had 1 year of track already under your belt?
Well, it was kind of nice because, coming back to it, I wasn't as like wide-eyed as I was before. Ooh, what's this? Ooh, this is pretty cool. I kind of knew the ropes a little more, like you said, and it was just kind of it was an easier transition. I knew what to expect. At that point I had already also done one of, if not maybe the most difficult seasons of football that I've ever done. So after coming off of that, and going into spring track, it was definitely a nice, very smooth transition. I had known a lot of people coming back on the team and everything. Having to also meet with the new freshmen that year. That was where I met a couple of my friends. Actually, both. One of them that you knew as well, Scott, who had also been on a couple guest stints on a couch.
Wait, no, Scott. That would have been junior year because Scott is 2 years younger than us.
Oh, he's 2 years?
Yeah, Scott was 2 grades younger than us, so that would have been junior year.
Okay, just kidding. You know what? Just pretend I didn't say anything, and I'm gonna kind of save all that talk.
Strike that from the record.
Okay. Nope, I got my years mixed up. So you're right. Nope, I forgot. Scott was 2 years. But I did meet ironically, my other friend Scott, who was a year below us, who did throwing for a bit. So it was funny because some of the throwers, some of the freshmen that year were just kind of like, because freshman was like kind of an experimental year for I think a lot of people, for a lot of athletes, and it was like that for me too when I was a freshman. But then I kind of knew, coming back into sophomore year, what I wanted to do. So I had, my eyes set on discus and shot put. Those are my two main events. And then I came back to do javelin, only to find out that I really wasn't a great javelin thrower. I did it with you remember Coach Campbell?
Oh yeah, of course. My 8th grade football coach, yes, good old Coach Campbell.
I forgot he did 8th grade football too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, girls hockey, 8th grade football, and track.
Yeah, so he didn't do track for very long though. He was only, I think, or at least from when we were there, he was only the throwing coach, the javelin coach for I think a couple of years. Then he kind of stopped after a little bit. But I remember and he was a great coach and everything. I had a great time with him. So I remember I spent some time with Coach Rubin doing the discus and shot put, and then Campbell was the one who did the javelin. And the thing was, I tried javelin. Javelin was such a fun. It was definitely one of the most fun events in track. But I kind of had to contend with myself. I was like, all right, listen, it's a fun event, but I wasn't very good at it. I really couldn't get past like 50 yards or meters or whatever. I think it's yards. So, and even when my friend Scott, who first had tried javelin, I remember he was already throwing better than I was. Like after the first week, I was like, "Oh, you're already in the 70s. I can't really get past 50." So yeah, okay, yeah, I probably it was not my sport. So
That's funny. But yeah, just and then sort of take us through, what like it was like, once that season sort of started up, you sort of get into practice starting up, and again you sort of have been through sort of the process of starting preseason practice, and then going into the season, so from freshman year. So just sort of talk about what that was like as the season really got underway, that second year of track.
So for that year at track, that was year 2 of when I had only done outdoor track.
Right.
I didn't do indoor track despite Coach Ruben, constantly, trying to really get me onto the indoor track because he kept telling me, he goes, Kyle, I'm telling you, I know I tried to tell you last year, I'm telling you again this year, like it's really good. You should do indoor track. And I was a little kind of back and forth on it. So I remember I think I joined like the Asian club, and we had our awesome Chinese like I think we had our Chinese food excursion to CK Shanghai, which was amazing. So we did a lot of cool stuff like that, but I didn't really play. That was the second year where I didn't really play a sport. I just kind of it was kind of like my break season a little bit. So I didn't, yeah, I trained. I did some workouts here and there like freshman year, but I didn't train as intensely, because of, when you don't have a sport, it's like you don't have as much need to train super intensely. But it also, I also would occasionally do the weight room, and I think I even took the weightlifting class that they had there for our gym curriculum. But yeah, no, it was another great season, and it was a season kind of where I saw a bit of improvement, and that was my goal. I was really trying to improve myself. I wasn't really trying to, I had other people like Thomas came back, and our other friend Mike, who I believe was also a senior the same year as Thomas that year. They were both great throwers. They were like throwing shot put in like the 40s, almost 50s at that point, doing like the spin move and everything. And they were like competing to win, but I was just kind of competing to, better myself at that point. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is for sure. It's always, it's obviously you want to try to win and get better, but also, it's about having fun as well, and teamwork and team chemistry and all that fun stuff. I guess my next question is sort of, are there any sort of personal memories for you? Actually, I'll save that one. Actually, because you were kind of touching on, some, teammates or stuff like that as well. So I'm trying to figure out how I phrase this question. Yeah, all right, I know. I get it. I got it now. Sorry, trying to sort of formulate my questions here as I talk. But I guess my next question is, what sort of team, before we get into your personal, sort of personal memories for just you specifically, what are some specific, team memories, either from a meet or just, from, sort of team bonding wise or teammates that you remember from that season?
I remember, that season, I think I remember I forget if this was freshman or sophomore year, but I remember, and I may have even told this story in the last episode, but I just remember this one really funny moment where we got ready for practice, and us throwers, we were really funny. We came to practice every day, and we always worked hard. We also were like we had all these like in jokes and like. We just had this great like chemistry. I thought, between me, Thomas, Mike, um, uh, Catherine, and I'm trying to remember who else was there. I think. Oh, gee, hold on. I'm trying to remember the new throwers that year. Oh, Wendy. That's right. That's when my friend. I think Wendy came in that year, or was she? Oh, geez, I can't remember if it was that year or if it was my junior year. But I thought that was the year she came in. I thought she was a freshman that year. But anyways, we always had this like really funny rapport with each other. And there was this one time where I remember Thomas. He like grabbed a javelin and he took a discus and like we just like and he like hopped on one of like the equipment carts. It was like this like wooden cart that like you know I think like that like just like they would roll around to put out all the track equipment everywhere. And he hopped on it, and I remember one of us pulled Thomas while he was like all standing, with the javelin and the discus, and it was so epic. It was so funny. It was great. It was like one of my favorite moments in high school track. It was just such a great scene. I loved it.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I mean, Thomas was good for a laugh like that. I remember, I mean, I didn't really have that many interactions with him, but he definitely was a character. That's for sure. And also just a freakishly good athlete. Both on the football field and on the track field as well. But yeah, and that's just sort of for you, just personally, from meet wise, or even just moments, from practice, just for you personally, what sort of stood out to you, like I was saying, just what sort of moments stood out to you in terms of, for you personally from that season, like for like I said, just for you personally, Kyle.
Well, that season, I'll be honest, was a little more hazy than some of the other seasons. Mainly because it was my second year, and I kind of was already accustomed to everything, and I feel like I kind of remembered freshman year a little bit more, and also like the later years because especially being senior year, being my last year doing high school track. But from what I remember just I just loved going to the meets all the time. And it was just a lot of fun. We had our road meets during the week and stuff like that we go to, and I think that time we even like explored some of the other schools. So we usually went to Natick. I believe Natick had a really good track. I think I talked about that during the last episode. And but no, but just in general, I felt like that season was one of the, at least from what I remember, it was one of the seasons where I saw a bit more improvement, and it was just great experiencing that. I kind of, it was the first like track season, that I had seen actually some actual growth. Like it was, especially after that, crazy, that crazy workout session that we did in football during our two-a-days and everything. Like,
Oh, geez,
I feel like
yeah.
that kind of carried over into the track season a bit. And, I felt even faster when I felt I was doing even like the streets and curves better, like sprinting and stuff like that. And I'll get more to sprinting in the future episodes because I do have some fun stuff to talk about with that. So, but for now, I definitely just with the discus was a lot of fun, kind of mastering the spin. And we had these like throwing shoes. Did I mention this in the last one?
I think you did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did mention throwing shoes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they're like these throwing shoes that kind of helped you glide or spin, and just kind of getting back in those shoes and throwing the disc and throwing the shot put was a lot of fun. And I still kind of did the shuffle. I didn't really get to do the spin yet. That wasn't actually till about maybe college. That was when I kind of mastered it a bit more. But it was a good season though. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, it definitely, sounds like a fun time. Definitely out there on the like I said, out there on the field, and I mean, definitely. I'm excited. Obviously, talking about the first couple of years is big. I will say, not to peek too far ahead, but I'm looking forward to hearing these next couple episodes because obviously, you added a season of track, I know, on to your second half of your high school track career. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
going to be very exciting to sort of talk about that and get a little bit further into that on a number of levels. So,
Oh, yeah. Good time.
anything else you want to mention from that sophomore year as we begin to sort of wrap up here?
No, I think I mentioned everything. It was great having Coach Ruben back as the coach again. But yeah, just it was a really solid season. I really had a lot of fun. But I think the next couple of years for me were definitely really memorable. Just for all this for all the stuff that happened and all the changes, kind of like that I went through personally, and also even some of the changes that the team went through as well. So yeah, I'll get more into that when we talk about it, though.
Very nice. Very nice. So we're going to start to go into like the last segment of our show here, and I'll also kick things off with my final thought from the episode, and that is that it is a very exciting time right now for the two Boston teams that are playing in bubbles currently, the Bruins and the Celtics. The Bruins, as I said, are in the playoffs now, and one game won in double overtime on yesterday afternoon. They're currently playing tonight in game 2 and are winning currently 1-0, heading into the second period. The Celtics just wrapped up their regular season portion of things, and they'll be entering the playoffs against the 76ers coming up next week. So very excited about that. Can't wait for that to start. So just really, like I've said before, very happy to be able to have some live sports to watch and to have on TV even in the background here, and just hoping that those Bruins and those Celtics keep going towards trying to push for a title. Well, we'll see what happens, but that is my final thought for this evening, and so now time to throw it over to the Sues, my pal Kyle, aka the Sues, for another edition of the Sues Review. So Kyle, why don't you take it away this week?
All right, so this one actually, I might need your help again, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Just to kind of, so I want to talk about a little bit of a retrospective of the PlayStation 2, and
Ooh.
I know that's a very familiar system, between me and especially between you as well,
Yeah. I still have mine. All these years later, I still have it.
There you go. It still works, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice. So what I want to talk about, just kind of go over the system a little bit, and then I was just going to handpick just a few games that I was going to bring up, and then a few games that Robbie wanted to, from Robbie's kind of past his childhood memories that really stuck out. The PS2 is a great system. It was, of course, they called it the PlayStation 2 because it was the second console that Sony released. It was a really cool system that you could play. Not only could you play, video games on the PlayStation 2 games, but you could also play. It was backwards compatible, which meant you could play PlayStation 1 games on it, and you could also, right?
Exactly. No, exactly right. Good point.
And it was that was what was so great about the PlayStation 2 is that you actually not only were the games backwards compatible, but you could also bring over the memory cards. You didn't have to throw the memory cards away. You could bring those back, and you could also use the same controllers, believe it or not, as PlayStation 1. So you really didn't have to give up a lot to jump to the next generation of systems. And I really liked it about that. And it was also a very multi kind of functional system where you could also play CDs and you could play DVDs on them. And
Very cool.
yeah, and at the time that was kind of unheard of, and it was just very revolutionary. And it's honestly, I think, one of the highest selling systems I think of all time, actually, when it especially when it launched in 2000, and people really gravitated towards it. And there were a lot of great games. I mean, I could spend like all day. I could spend like a whole half hour. I could do my own segment on all the wonderful PlayStation games. But I think I'm just going to pick a handful of them. It was a system that it went up to 2 players, but if you bought a multi-tap system, you could actually do more than 2 players. You could have at least, I think, up to like 6 to maybe even like 18 players, depending on the game.
Right.
And depending on how many multi-tap you had. And it was also one of the first systems to have online. It had a free online functionality later on, and it even had slimmer models. So you could have Robbie has the bigger model. That was the original one that came out. And then later on, they had like the slimmer model where you could like pop open the disc thing. And that was just, Sony does that all the time. They do that even nowadays with like PlayStation 4, and they did that with PlayStation 3 too. So what games did I really like? I think for now I'll just stick with the Kingdom Hearts series. I thought was really great. It's kind of like a nice hack and slash RPG that involves Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters. It's like this big crossover that they did, and it's a lot of fun. It's from the same makers of the Final Fantasy series. So if you like RPGs and stuff like that, then the Kingdom Hearts games 1 and 2 I think are really great games. And I think, I'm just looking at the list up there. I also really like the Jack and Daxter trilogy. It's a series of like platform games. It's kind of like Mario. They're like these like 3D platformers. And you collect all these doodads. And especially, the first game was rated E. So funny story about that. And then the second game and the third game, they kind of became more free roam games. You can hop into vehicles in the sequels. But they also became more mature, and like they gave the main character, his name is Jack, they gave him like guns you can like shoot and stuff like that. So, they kind of made it more like Grand Theft Auto and kind of that style, which is and also some other series. I also really like Time Splitters. If you're looking for like a good first-person shooter, the Time Splitters series is amazing. It was from the same makers of it was from the old development team of GoldenEye. I personally love those games. I think you and I played one of them one time. They have like the third one even has like a co-op mode, so you can actually play single player with 2 other players. With and that was a fun mode because you can hop in vehicles and like you go around. You have all these like different missions to accomplish. You have to take out these towers or defeat this like big giant tank boss and stuff like that. And the fun thing about Time Splitters is it's a time travel game. So every level, you're in like a different time period, which is kind of cool. So, yeah. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And also, I'm trying to think if there's any last games I want to talk about. Yeah, I think that'll be it for now. Yeah, were there any games that you really liked?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sort of the 3 that I'll mention. First of all, Madden. All sort of the Madden games, the Madden franchise was always fun to play. So every year when a new game would come out, to get that and to play would always be a good time. And then the 2 that I know Kyle will appreciate because he and I would play these a lot together were 007 and
Nightfire, yes.
Yeah, Nightfire. Nightfire. Thank you. And also, there was this game, Crazy Taxi, that I always enjoyed playing, where basically you're the taxi driver and you have to pick up fares and like speed through the city and try to drop them off at their locations as quickly as possible to get points and money and all of that. So I always thought that was just a really cool game. I always enjoyed playing those types of games as well. I mean, I was big into the sports games, obviously, but I would say for like non-sports games, Nightfire and Crazy Taxi. I mean, there were some others as well, but I think those two sort of really stood out to me in terms of non-sports games. And then for sports, like the Madden franchise was always a go-to for me.
Nice, there you go. Yeah, I agree. Nightfire, I personally think it's one of, if not maybe the best James Bond game out there, because not only do they have the best single player mode, which like you hop into vehicles, and like you can go underwater. There's like snowmobile missions, and you like sneak into like buildings. You do all the stuff that Bond would do essentially, and it was really fun. But they also have a really great multiplayer mode that Robbie and I have always played. And our favorite map, I'd say, is the Fort Knox level.
Oh yeah.
And it's cool because that one was from the movie Goldfinger. So they have some of the different missions they have from like other movies, like Spy Who Loved Me. So if you're a big Bond fan, that game is phenomenal. So
yeah, just a great trip down memory lane right there. I mean, just anytime I could talk about the PS2, I'm all for it, and just some of those classic games that I still have. I don't play as much anymore, but I still definitely have them available downstairs, if nothing else for sentimental reasons. But yeah, PS2 always a good time. So a lot of fun memories playing on that controller. So thank you, Kyle, for that lovely review as always. So that's going to wrap up this week's edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. Thank you as always, everybody, for joining us, and as always, stay safe. And we will see you next week here on a Couch Talking Sports. Bye, everybody.